All right, everybody. Well, welcome to week 2 of Web Volume 4.0. I hope everybody had a fantastic kickoff week. I can tell you guys that I'm personally doing this challenge along with you guys, and I'm also doing it with a Web Center intern who already scheduled several appointments just doing the basic stuff. And the good news is that it only gets better from there. You only get more training on better quality appointments and increasing the kinds of leads that you can get. And the caliber of everything that you do is only going to increase as you go through these sessions. Now, what we find is that a lot of times in week 1, contestants will use that week to really just get organized and get their heads wrapped around who they're going to be contacting and when they're going to be committing to working, and just getting your best foot forward, but maybe you haven't gone out and prospected yet. That's fine. You need to forgive yourself for that and move on, because it's week 2 already. So make sure that this week you're doing some prospecting and you're putting all that good organization to work. So before we get started and everything tonight, I want to go through what we will be talking through in terms of what the announcements are and what you can expect from today. So first of all, lots of questions came in over the week on where can I find the recorded webinars, including the case studies. And the answer to that is on WEBVOLUMEcontest.com. If you click on the webinars page, you can actually not only download and view the previous sessions from previous webinars, but you also can download the slides that are used in the lesson of the week. So if that's an asset that you want for yourself, I highly recommend downloading them, because when we archive them, I believe we only archive the videos but not the presentations. Another important announcement, please make sure that you are reporting your results every Friday. And again, the place to do that is webvolumecontest.com. So you're going to click on the activity report page, and from there you're just going to submit all of the activity that you've done throughout the week. And it's really critical that you do that. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in our last Web Volume 3.0 contest, our top 15 contestants all submitted, most of them submitted every single week. Some of them missed 1 week, but nobody that missed more than 1 or 2 weeks was in that top 15. Another thing that we found is, even out of the people that just managed to sell a single website, we did all kinds of testing, and we looked at all the numbers. And what we can tell you is that the people that sold websites on the previous contest were people that plugged in every week, regardless of if they had a great week or not. So what that means is, are you going to have an excellent week after week after week? Well, I hope so. But if you don't, it's okay. The best thing that you can do is still submit your report on Friday with zeros in them, because that's demonstrating that you're still committed and that you're going to make next week a better week. It's going to work in your favor if you stay engaged. It's just like anything, guys. If you take a week off, or if you don't want to submit because it's all zeros, you're less likely to submit the next week, and eventually you'll just fall off the contest. So make sure that you're engaging. And finally, the other question that came up a lot this week is, how do I get added to the Facebook group? You do that by sending an email to mawebcenters@marketamerica.com. And when you do that, our MA Web Centers team, like Sheila or Sarita or Sandra, they will send you a request and get you added into that group. But make sure that you're doing these things, guys. If you're plugging into the webinars, you're sending in your activity report, and you're engaging with the Facebook group, you're more likely to be successful, because if there's accountability there, you're talking to people every day, you're committing to a schedule. So stay engaged and stay committed. Now, just to share with you our total results thus far, we are done with week 1. In week 1, we made over 1,000 contacts as a group. That's really great. We set 92 appointments for websites, of which 43 were completed. We showed 125 plans, and there were already 9 personally sponsored that were reported. In week 1, there were already 17 sales that went through at a sale price of $41,800 US, and the retail profit on that was $17,000. $17,930, so about $1,000 per website sale. There were also 9 design packages that were sold, 3 internet marketing packages sold, 138 tickets to the next big event, and 18 web center trainings that were attended. The most important number on this screen is the 1,004, because the reality is that web centers is a lot like building the business, guys. When you start prospecting and you make contacts, that's not going to result in a website sale right away. There's going to be a prospecting process that you have to engage with, and you have to, get their commitment for an appointment. You have to complete that appointment. There's follow-up, and then that follow-up will hopefully lead to a sale and some referrals. That takes time. And so if you want to be successful, you have to make sure you're making those contacts and setting those appointments and following up. And if you do that consistently, we're hoping that at the end of 3 to 4 weeks, you'll start seeing your first sales pop through. And if you keep that system going and you stay consistent with constantly prospecting and following up, you should be at an ongoing, amount of sales that you should see popping through your business. So really great first week, guys. But again, if your first week was mostly committed to organizing yourself and getting ready, don't fret about that. Just make sure that this coming week you're doing lots of prospecting, making lots of contacts. And honestly, guys, my number one goal if I was a brand new web center owner would be I need to focus on setting one good qualified website appointment every single week. If you can focus on that simple goal for yourself, you are on track to sell at least 1, if not 2 websites per month, because 1 in 3 qualified appointments will end in a sale. So your very simple goal, if the other goal setting was too, if it's too complex for you, a very simple goal you could set for yourself is 1 qualified website appointment per week. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to press play, because again, what we're trying to do is train on how to train. We want you guys to be web center leaders, and so we are going to watch week 2's lesson of the week, which is all about qualified prospects and motivating prospects through a process called informed discovery. And so these videos are available on mawc411.com if you click on Learn Online. But again, if you want to review all of tonight's session, which is also going to feature an incredible case testimonial and case study presented by Yardley Wang, who I'll edify and I'll introduce to you after we're done with this video. But I want you to know that if you want the whole video, including the case study and all of the other information about the contest, you're going to go to WEBVOLUMEcontest.com and click on the webinars page. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and press play. Welcome to week 2 of the MA Web Center's 12-week action plan. This week we'll be discussing how to create more qualified and motivated prospects through a process called informed discovery. Now remember, 1 out of 3 qualified appointments will end in a sale. So the most... Oh, hold on one second. That's weird. Sure that you are once so that you can share solutions, which ultimately creates an opportunity for your prospect to solve a problem. So different ways that we can generate interest via informed discovery, meaning different ways that we can get them to discover some solutions that they really need to be in the marketplace for are, first, to identify their needs and research in advance. Be prepared with better questions, right? And so that's really why in week 1 we told you guys, when you create your website prospect list, it's not just about making a list with business owners and names and phone numbers and just contact information, but it's really important to take that second step. Make sure that you are actually Googling your prospects and taking 60 seconds to identify 1 or 2 or maybe 3 areas that you might want to ask a question around. So the beautiful part about informed discovery is you're not in presentation mode. So your job isn't to Google your prospect, find a couple of areas where we may be able to help, and then create the ultimate script or the ultimate speech for your prospect. You're simply going to get them to say it for you. So for example, if you're Googling your favorite restaurant and you notice that their menu looks like it hasn't been up to date in a very long time, rather than calling up your prospect or talking to your prospect and stating that, the better thing and more advantageous thing for you to do is to simply ask the question, is your menu up to date? And so that just poses the question, and it forces the business owner to discover and face a current issue or lacking area of their business that needs a solution, right? It's really, really that simple. So what you want to do is you want to use that research to prepare excellent questions that open the door for your prospect to come to heads, or to actually identify and recognize that there are areas where they might need to actually find some solutions for. Right now, the second part of that is to actually use some summarizing techniques to confirm your client needs. So for example, when you are talking to your prospect and you're asking these great questions, and again, a lot of the questions that you ask and a lot of the discovery that happens is stuff that you already know about, but that you're asking questions so that they will state those issues for you. But when you're ready to go ahead and firm up the appointment, you want to use some summarizing techniques. So if you have discovered in that conversation that yes, there's a substantial need to be able to update content on a regular basis, and maybe you found out a second item as well in your conversation. Maybe you found out that there is a big interest to be able to take orders online and also to do some email marketing. What you want to do is you want to rephrase or restate the issues that have come up, because it's very powerful for them to hear it again. So when you're scheduling the appointment and you're edifying the product specialist, you want to make sure that you're also pulling in the specific areas that are interesting or unique for your prospect, right? And so you let them know what works best for you, mornings or afternoons. Okay, morning's great. How about Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock? Do you think that time might work? Awesome. So I'll go home and I'll schedule an appointment with you and one of the product specialists, and I'll let them know that you're really interested in looking for solutions around editing content, selling menu items online, and also being able to email market to your customer base. We'll make sure that the product specialist takes the time to address those concerns for you, right? So you're letting them know that you're not just selling them on something, you're selling them on solutions that they already stated that they need. You're helping them to get the information that they need so that they can make an informed decision. You're not selling them anything, right? You're really just selling information. You're not asking them to make any decision. You're just asking them to evaluate this as a possible solution. Now, again, when you do your research, you want to make sure you're using your findings correctly. So we're just going to review this one more time. Focus on asking questions around whatever it is that you discovered in your research, and get them to tell you what you already know. It's way more powerful than calling them up and saying, your website looks out of date, what are you doing about that, right? It's way more, it's just a lot more comfortable, it's a lot more conversational, a little bit less aggressive. Again, focus on getting them to tell you. Second, focus on questions that build value in the benefits of our product. So, if you're talking to that same restaurant owner, talk about increasing their lunch business or increasing their takeout business, or these are things that the business owner will understand. Speak in the business owner's language, not in the language of a technical person. Decreasing their expenses. Oh, you guys are using another program to email market, and you have a website somewhere else, and you're paying for your e-commerce. I wonder if we might be able to consolidate that so you can get a better service, have it available in one account, and maybe decrease some of your expenses for you. Again, a business owner understands that. They understand increased revenues, they understand decreased expenses, or increased customer satisfaction. Other questions that lead to good informed discovery are questions like as simple as, hey, how's business going? If they say it's slow, then say, really, I hear that a lot these days. What are you guys doing to get your name out there? What kind of advertising are you doing? If they respond with, business is great, just say, that's really awesome. How are you managing all of that volume? Is your website helping with client questions or customer service, that kind of a thing? You want to ask questions. That's actually, again, the good news is you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to ask the right questions so that you have an opportunity to actually identify some solid needs. Now, once you've identified some solid needs, your next goal is to connect the dots. So you want to identify what the holdup is so that they can move to the next step, right? Share the right information so that you can help them to move to the next step. So what does your prospect need based on the conversation you had? Do they need information? Do they need a website appointment? Do they need a digital marketing appointment? Do they need a 15-minute consultation? Do they want more sales or traffic or social media? Do they want to be found on Google? Do they need more visibility in general? general? Do they want to decrease their expenses? Would they like to streamline their business practices and not be managing their online strategy across 4 or 5 platforms? Would it be helpful for them? Would it solve some time issues for them if everything was consolidated into one account like our solution offers, right? Do they need to understand our process or our system? What could solve that? Well, an appointment could solve that. Do they need more design samples or testimonials? Okay, great. Let your product specialist know what they're looking for so that they can share that information, or simply share some samples or design testimonials with them. Go to mawebcenters.com and click on the samples page, right? Do they need a follow-up appointment? Is there maybe another decision maker that should have been on the appointment in the first place that now needs the right information? Never assume that the business owner is going to be able to relay all of the information that they learned in an appointment to their partner or anybody else that would have input. You know, if they need another appointment, call your product specialist and let them know what the current situation is. Connect those dots for them and schedule another appointment so that the other decision maker, the other business partner or spouse, or again, anybody with input that's going to help this person make the decision is getting the right information. Are they having some consumer confusion? Do they think that maybe some other discount hosting provider can give them exactly what we have for less? You know, a lot of business owners are confused because they are mass marketed to on a daily basis by some of these discount hosting providers that claim to offer a free website or a website for only $100 a year. But at the end of the day, with every single one of those solutions, if they actually check off even half of what that solution recommends that a business has for their business, they're spending 3 or 4 times as much as what MA Web Centers actually charges. So the way to best overcome consumer confusion is to let your prospect know that these are valid questions that need to be asked and addressed during the appointment. Our product specialist can help overcome that for you. Another great way to generate interest via informed discovery is to conduct a 15-minute consultation, right? So one of the easiest ways to do this is to simply make a phone call and schedule a time before an appointment happens, or as a segue. Maybe they're not ready to commit to a full-on appointment, but they would commit to a 15-minute consult. And what this is a focused 15-minute period where your job is literally to fire through a specific list of questions that are designed to help your prospect find some areas where they might be interested in some solutions for, or some brand new ideas for marketing their business that they may not have even considered in the past. So take a look at it. By the way, you can download this by going to mawc411.com/support.html. Now, there's 3 different kinds of 15-minute consultations. There's a general one, a digital marketing one, and a website management one. So if your prospect is only interested in some of our digital marketing products, like our social media or SEO products, you can use that one. If they're only looking for different ways to manage their content, use that one. But most people are using the general one, which kind of touches on all the areas. So there are 5 different sections of questions, and they all have a specific purpose. The first one is just basic business information. You know, their contact name. This is a great opportunity, by the way, for you to ask if there are any other decision makers. So it's nice, it's low pressure, it's not weird. You're just saying, is there anybody else that we should know about that is a business partner that would have, you know, a role in making any kind of marketing decisions for you? That would be a manager, be a family member, it could be your 14-year-old kid. It doesn't matter. Anybody with input, right? And basic business contact information and their industry. This is really just to help you schedule the full-on sales appointment. The second section is all about the client's business or the prospect's business, their primary focus. Where do they conduct their business? What is their ideal demographics? Do they do any advertising currently? And the point of this is to just get them excited about their business in general. But there's also a great question in here that's called, do you do any advertising? And that's really just there to determine, do they have an advertising budget? Now, you don't need to know how to translate the answer to that question into what their budget is, but our product specialists do know how to do that. So if you find out that they do a weekly newspaper ad, the product specialist knows that that's $150 to $200 a week investment for them, and that the website solution is going to be an easy sell budget-wise, right? Website management, do they have a site? Who did it? Who updates it? Do they have a mobile site? Do they want to sell online? Search engine optimization. Do they do any search engine marketing? Have they done any Google AdWords? If so, what was their monthly budget? Social media or online community. Do they use social media? Do they have Facebook? Do they do email campaigns? Do they blog? And the idea, again, is not for you to present solutions to them. The idea here is for you to do an intake. You're getting them motivated and excited about their business by helping them to discover different areas of their business that maybe they didn't think about that they should be thinking about. When you ask these questions about social media, the purpose is to help them to think about that. Is this something that they really need to put some energy into? And maybe have they thought about it in the past and it's just been on the back burner? All of those kinds of things. The point is to get them excited and interested by laying out on the table some areas that they should consider. There are 6 areas of qualification. So to have a very qualified appointment, then you're going to want to make sure that these 6 things are in place. The first one is interest and timing. So interest, is there a solid need that we can fill? Meaning, based on the questions that you've asked, do we actually have a possible solution? So for example, if they're looking for printing services, that's not something we do, right? But if they're looking for social media management, we do that. If they're looking for a new website, we do that. If they're looking for email campaigns and more streamlined business practices, we have a solution for that as well. Is this a good fit? What you don't want to do is schedule appointments with prospects where this is not a good fit. We work typically with small to medium-sized businesses and not really typically with companies like franchises or Fortune 500 companies that invest hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in their website presence, right? So it's important to know who our market is. Appointment timing. Is this an actual good time to meet? So if you had scheduled the appointment with that restaurant owner from the earlier example, did you schedule it during their dinner rush, or maybe did you pick a low time in their day, like perhaps 3 o'clock p.m., right? Is there little chance that they would be interrupted? Do they have specific times during the week or the day that they actually dedicate to doing admin or paperwork or appointments like these? Find that kind of stuff out so that the appointment has the highest chance of success for happening. Third, advertising budget. Do they advertise anywhere else? Do they take marketing their business seriously? If your client has no interest in advertising or increasing their sales or any of the things that most successful business owners do, they're probably not a great qualified prospect. Timing. Are they motivated to go now? Are they currently in their researching stage? Do they have a tight time schedule? Do they need a website built very quickly? Is this a current confirmed appointment? The timing of the prospect is not something you can control. So just a little note around that. Just make sure you're always working with multiple prospects, because you can't control each individual's timing, but you can control how many prospects you're working with so that you're not at the mercy at one person's timing or schedule. The next one is decision makers. Will all decision makers be available during the appointment? No, seriously, everybody with input. Remember, again, like I said earlier, people will go home and try and bring their spouse up to date or bring their business partner up to date or their manager up to date, and they're not going to do it as effectively as a product specialist. So when you're doing that 15-minute consultation and you are talking about contact names and titles, it's the perfect opportunity to confirm that all decision makers will be present. And finally, have you set the stage for success? Can your prospect be on the phone and the internet at once? They shouldn't be on the go. There shouldn't be a mobile appointment. They need to be able to see things. Do they have an up-to-date internet browser? I always make sure to let them know that. Have you edified the product specialist so that your prospect understands who will be conducting the appointment? Have you encouraged your prospect to write their questions down in advance? That's a great tip. Make sure that your prospect is showing up prepared with specific questions that they have. It will just cut down on the amount of follow-up that's required for them to make their decision. If you've got these 6 different areas under control, chances are you've got a highly qualified appointment and your chance for success increases. So the weekly exercises, again, your daily operating procedures. Make sure you're talking to your prospects, booking appointments, adding names, and remaining accountable on a daily and weekly basis. And your weekly exercises are to conduct your prospect research. Make sure that if you skip that step in week 1, that you go back and you do that with a new set of eyes. But also make sure that you identify a few questions that you'd like to ask based on the research that you've performed. That's actually a really good tip, because when you find the information, a lot of times we have a little bit of trouble, changing those findings into question form. So if you found that the website looks like it's not up to date, and you make the phone call and you have the question that you're going to ask, which is your website up to date, right in front of you, it's just, again, it's a lot easier to remember to do that. Your next goal for this week is to schedule as many 15-minute consultations with your prospects as possible. The more 15-minute consults that you create and conduct, the more opportunities you have to generate interest via informed discovery. And finally, when you do schedule your appointments, I want you to do a quality check on them. Are they qualified appointments? Identify and give yourself an assessment based on the decision makers, the budget, the interest, the timing, the clarity, and the confirmation, the 6 areas of qualified appointment, and just assess where they're at. That's important to do. Make sure you do it. And finally, I just want to let everybody know that we have a little thing that we call Follow-Up Friday. You will have lots of appointments that happen and lots of prospects that want you to call them back. Every Friday, we recommend that you actually write down the business owner, their name, their contact, website, phone, and what their next step is. Your job is to connect the dots. And so if you can be specific with connecting the dots, then you will have a better, more efficient process going on. So make sure you're participating in the Follow-Up Friday, and make sure that you're doing your daily operating procedures and that you also complete the weekly exercise. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you for week 3. Very good. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to go back to our presentation right here. And we have a special guest tonight. His name is Mr. Yardley Wang, and Yardley was the Certified Web Center Trainer of the Year before many of us who were, previously were. They were one of the first ones to be given that honor. In fact, another interesting fact is that Yardley and his wife, Lisa Lieberman Wang, actually trained not only myself, but also a lot of the trainers of the year. So if you look at, Trista and Russell, and you look at Ray Yedman, and just a number of other successful web center owners, we've all been trained by the original, we call them the web center godfathers, which is a cool little thing. But in any case, they're field vice presidents, so they know a little bit about building the business, if you know what I mean. And so hold on one second. I'm going to go ahead and find him because I want him to have a chance to talk. But yes, field vice presidents and top sellers. Yardley has over 20 years of experience in the IT industry. His wife has over 20 years of experience in sales, but Yardley didn't know very much about website development or sales even, because he was in IT. So I'll let him share a little bit more about himself, and then I'm going to go ahead and conduct this more. His case study is going to be conducted more in an interview style. So let me go ahead and get Yardley going. So Yardley, the audio pin is pound 213 pound. So let me know if, let's see if I can go ahead. Maybe I'll have to make you the organizer because I can't get you to unmute you. Let me try this.
Hello.
Gotcha. There you are.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Fabulous.
Good. Well, welcome, Yardley. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be invited on the call and to participate. So anything I can do to help.
Sweet. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share a couple of screenshots from your case study, which is, am I pronouncing it right? Convert Caterers?
Absolutely.
Yep, and this is a catering company, and they specialize in catering, weddings, special events located in New Jersey. And to present this website case study, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to ask you questions and just let you respond and talk freely to the questions. Does that sound good?
Fabulous. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you met the client and what your relationship to them was originally.
Okay, so originally we had absolutely no relationship to them. This happens to be a client that was surfing the internet because they never had a website prior to purchasing the MA Web Center solution. And what happened was that they wandered upon other catering sites. They wanted to check out other catering sites, and they liked what they saw, and they found one of their competitors. Now, Convert Caterers specifically is a Jewish place, so they take care of all the things that are pretty much catered to the Jewish community, but they were looking up catering sites, and in the same neck of the woods in Long Island, New York, they found one of the catering sites that we did prior. And the great news about that is the fact that they saw our link that of who the website was developed by. So,
That's
and what
awesome.
happened was that, right, so what happened, Sarah, is they didn't want, purposely they wanted to meet face to face. And the challenge with that is Lisa and I live within driving distance about an hour and a half away on a good day. So we didn't really want to meet them in person. So we had to find one of our business partners where the BEV was going to hit, and a mutual web center owner and business partner. So we sent one of our business partners over there to meet and greet them during the demo, but we did all of the relationship building over the telephone prior to that.
So that's awesome. So you sold another catering or another catering style website. You guys put your link as like what website provided by.
Websites by YLW, absolutely,
Great, and that's
on
a
the
really
bottom.
big tip. That's a huge tip. And we do the same thing. When we sell a website, we always ask if we can put our link at the bottom because it can lead to referrals. All right, so the next question is, so when you eventually did approach the client, they actually approached you. So you kind of alluded to it already. So you ended up doing all of the relationship building over the phone. So how did you do that?
Well, because of that link at the bottom, when they approached us, they, like I said to you before, they really insisted on a face-to-face. By the way, when we put the link at the bottom of everybody's website, the selling point on that, Sarah, was not so much advertising for us indirectly, but we told our client, listen, you're going to want to make changes to your website. So rather than remember two websites, just put our link at the bottom. So you just have to go to your own homepage, click on it, and this way you'll have access to log into your back end of your website. So the website customer was more than happy to agree on that. It was one less website they had to remember. So, we approached the client of finding out what their needs were, pretty
Good.
much, after they clicked and found, what was going on.
Cool. Did you do a 15, I mean, this was a site probably prior to the 15-minute consultation. You just saw what kinds of questions we ask in them, but would you say that you more or less did one even if it wasn't called a 15-minute consult?
It was the 15-minute consult, more or less. It was probably more questions than what you even had up there, Sarah, to find out exactly what their needs were before the demo was set up and everything, so that we knew what their hot spots are, and to reinsure them ourselves and reassure them that we can, facilitate everything that they're looking for. And if there were any questions, we made them happy. It's like, listen, if there's any questions that come up that that you didn't bring up during this needs assessment, that's okay. Feel free that when we do the product demo, that we'll answer your questions then.
Yeah, and would you say that by doing that needs assessment prior to the appointment, it made the appointment better?
It made it better and it made it easier because we really found out what they're looking for. Specifically, they wanted a site that can just share pictures with the audience to give that look and feel of the different catering events that they do, and also a gallery of past events and current events to let people know what they offered, and what the site looked like for the catering events.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
right?
that's a big point, you guys. So a lot of people will schedule an appointment. They won't take the time to do the needs assessment or do the 15-minute consult because they think they're saving time and they just need to hurry up and get the person on the phone. But I think so far everybody that we've talked to does some form of a 15-minute consult prior to an appointment, and that's why we have such a high close rate.
Absolutely. And it's easier because you pre-qualify your guests even more, right? So I've found out so many times a lot of people that we've worked with and trained in the past, Sarah, they schedule a lot of appointments, which is fantastic, but a lot of them aren't pre-qualified because they're just like, I'll show something, I have something to show you. And whether they need it or not and finding out what their needs are, they're happy to look, but they really aren't engaged and they're really not serious about looking at a website. So the more you can engage the customer and find out exactly what they're looking for, the easier it is to make the site sale. So as an example, their interest was really not to sell anything for the site. They didn't want a shopping cart or anything, but what they did want to do specifically is they wanted an appointment calendar so that anybody going to their website can set an appointment, to be set up for a face-to-face or a phone consultation for the website customer and their potential client.
Okay, very cool. Um, Ultimately, what made this client decide to do a website with you guys?
Well, they honestly, it was the competitor. They saw the different sites that the competitor had, then they looked on We have our own portfolio because we've done so many, and not everybody has to do that because obviously we have we have the MA Web Centers and the MA samples that we can share with them after the fact. But we had our own website because we did so many website sales and also did the trainings for the web center owners that we created our own website and our own portfolio of just some of our customers, and they really liked the sites that we've done and what we did for the competitor as well.
Yeah, I think people are for the most part pretty visual and can be very positively impacted by the visual of the completed site. And by the way, what Yardley said is if you don't have a personal portfolio, you can actually share the design work of the design team. Just make sure you give credit properly and you say, this is, some of the work that our team has done. You definitely don't want to claim that this is your website client when it's not, because it might be Yardley's or it might be someone else's. But to say that this is work done by our team is could be very powerful for you, and it can also, be just like it's also a very truthful statement. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to be working with the design center, so those are the people whose work they need to be evaluating anyway. All right, so the next step, the appointment and the follow-up. When they did the appointment, how did it go?
Well, the appointment went really well, Sarah, but they didn't buy it right away because they really wanted to have a look and feel what the website would look like. So we had to sit down and go through with them on some of the sites that they like. It's the intake that one would do anyhow if you were to use the website design center package, any of the packages. So we wanted them to go out and, besides College and Caters, look at some of the other competitors so that we can get a look and feel of what was out there and to find out exactly what they're looking for. But more importantly, they also only wanted to pay 50% down. They didn't want to pay the whole thing until the website was done. So we negotiated with them and we overcame it by just saying, okay, well, it's really simple. We'll take 50% down now and then we'll finance the rest and we'll make sure that your website's done within that 3-month period of time. And they were perfectly happy to do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting statement, by the way, that and because part of this follow-up process sounds like what you're saying is part of their follow-up process, what they needed was to know more about what they wanted on their website. Before they could actually make that decision, they had to look around and say, okay, now I know what I want to do, or I have an idea. Now I'm ready to go. Interesting.
Absolutely. And Sarah, and on top of that, the follow-up process, I mean, they loved what they saw. So this is where the rubber meets the road, where basically we just called the follow-up, and then if it didn't close again, we just left on a good note, just like MA Web Centers, the product specialist, and we just left it with another date to speak to them again, to keep following up until they finally decided to make the site sale, right?
Right. I mean, it's their timing. They had to get through, and it's kind of like what we're talking about today. They had to connect some dots for themselves before they could make that decision. It had nothing to do with the product or even the price, it sounds like. So, I mean, would you say then it's probably a good idea to have more than one website lead in the funnel while you're following up with this person?
I think the challenge with a lot of web center owners, and we explain this during the training for them, is to make them aware of the fact that always keep your funnel full. Just like building the business of Market America, it's one thing it's great that if you have a lead, but the sales process in a website can be potentially longer than a regular sale for, let's say, OPC3, for instance, right? So maybe it might take a few days, maybe it might take a few weeks. Some of our customers, it's taken a year and a half
Yeah.
for a follow-up for a website. So the sales process can be longer. So the more oars you have in the fire, the more chances that you have of just following up with each one until each one hits. This way you're not dependent on it and you're not dependent on the money, because otherwise it can be far and few in between, which is another reason why you want to build your business for Market America and Shop.com, because that's ongoing residual that comes on more consistent basis than a website sale here or there, unless you have a lot of oars in the funnel and stuff, like what Lisa and myself did in the last 8 years. So, I mean, Sarah, we have sold over 7 figures in websites in the last 8 years. That's not to impress you, but it's to impress upon you that this business within a business can really work if you focus your attendance on it. It's great now money, okay? And we needed it for a short amount of time. But the idea is, it's like, you know what, the Market America business is the ongoing that pays you the residual. So, and basically what made the client ultimately decide to buy, they just kept loving what they saw, and all they were doing is just looking for a site to see if we could do it. And no matter what they threw up, you know, for us to take a look at, we were confident that our design center team can do anything pretty much, especially with the customized coding that they offer as well. So we were very confident, and they were confident in us, and that's ultimately what closed the sale.
Awesome. Thank you, Yardley. Just a couple more questions, if that's okay. The first one is, what was the client's method for ultimately building the website? Design or do it, did they do it themselves? Did they get a design package? That kind of a thing.
Okay, so they opted for a design center package, and pretty much we got them the design center package with the platinum. So the most challenging part about everything was just trying to get the pictures from the business owners. So the design center
Yeah.
team did a great job finding royalty-free pictures, but our client didn't like them. So we finally got them to go to the site and pick for themselves the pictures, for the site that the design center team uses, so that they can pick out what they want to use for the website, and then they made it much easier after that.
Yeah, and I find that that can be really helpful if you just kind of sit sometimes and help. I mean, you're making at least $1,000, if not more, off the site. I mean, what's a half an hour of your time to help them pick out pictures, right? Um,
I mean, Sarah, every one of our clients honestly have used the design center package.
mm-hmm. So,
So out
and
of the
us
hundreds that
too.
we sold.
And I feel the same way. You just want the client to be proud of how the website looks, and because that's what's ultimately going to lead to more referrals and a better experience. So, um, and this question may not be applicable yet, but did this client purchase any of the additional marketing products yet? I know they're very new, so.
Yeah, well, at the time when the design center, the other packages weren't available, so now we're going back and revisiting all of our website clients for the different packages, and it's generating interest. So they just want to see how they can apply, and they're looking. The one question that keeps coming up is, well, what guarantees do I have? And our answer, Sarah, and perhaps you can help me and help the audience, is the one we've been using is there are no guarantees. But the guarantees, if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change, and it's going to be a longer process for the exposure, for the SEO, and for the social media marketing. So we just kind of figure that it's just little bite-sized steps, and these are great packages, and the rates. We advise them to go shop around and see if they can find something better, and they can.
Yeah, they
So
definitely can't. Exactly.
they can.
No, we
So
we
it
do,
looks
just so
like
you know, in the infographics, we do give them a ballpark area of impressions, but you can also, just a little tip, Google specifically states that if you are working with someone that claims or guarantees you a certain number of clicks for the money you're spending, that they are not a Google recommended company because they cannot make guarantees. So that's one thing that we always tell people is, I love what you said, and then I also remind them that we don't do that. And by the way, if anybody does, that's not someone that's been trained properly by Google. So,
oh, right, Sarah, I forgot to tell you, they did buy another product. They bought another website.
oh, what did they buy
They
a
were
website for?
so excited about their website, they bought another website called KLounge.com. So they were so, and the great news about this is it was an easy sell because they had such a wonderful experience the first time around. They also have a lounge on top of the catering. So what we did was is that we just sold them another site. Of course, the only difficulty about the K Lounge was the pictures once again, but we were able to get that under the gun really, and then they had a simple, clean site on KLounge.com as well. So they love it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So, last couple of questions. So I guess they did leave to another prospect themselves. How did the
Right.
website improve their business?
Well, they love it, and it attracts a lot of people to the company. They love looking at the pictures. They've asked them in the last 2 months to update their pictures because uh, the great news about having pictures on the website, Sarah, is the fact that people love seeing themselves on the internet. So they've asked caterers to post their events, their bar mitzvahs, their weddings and stuff on that so that they could send their friends there and this way. And then we told the caterers, this is a great opportunity for you to do that because it will ultimately give you more business. And by the way, it already has. So for the events we've already put up there from the other people and them telling their friends, now their friends have, because they were there also, their friends are looking at the website and now have gone to Caterer to ask them to do their bar mitzvah and things like that. So the website has really generated a lot of income for Caterers, and they love it.
Well, I absolutely love that. And I just want to say thank you so much, Yardley, for taking time out of your schedule. I know you guys are doing a lot of awesome things with the house and you're super busy. But it means a lot that you gave up your time and shared a lot about your client. We all appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and once again, I am really honored that you even asked us on this call, so thank you for that.
Yeah, well, have a great night. I'm going to go ahead and hold on. We're going to just move this around. Cool. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and announce who the Challenge of the Week winner is. For the shop.com $20 gift card. Now remember, just by simply posting that you did the challenge of the week, which we went over in tonight's section, it's the little exercises for week 2, when you comment on the Facebook post, your name is entered to win a $20 shop.com gift card. So I'm going to take all of these names right here, and we're going to go ahead and go to, oh, I actually closed out Firefox. Did not mean to do that. So hold on one second. Be patient. Let's see. And we're going to find the person for Challenge of the Week. Oh, look at that. It was already there. Love it. So all of the names have been entered. I'm just going to go ahead and pick a random name. And congratulations to Catherine Tan. You are this week, week 1's winner for the shop.com gift card. All right, everybody, I really, really thank you. I see one question, and I'm going to answer this one question because it's pertaining to tonight's session. But if you have any other questions, please make sure that you ask them in the Facebook group. So for the link at the bottom of the site, do we need to ask the client for permission, or do we ask the design team to add that when they design the website? Jamie, that's a great question. And typically when Yardley does that, or when I do that, or when anybody does that, we always ask the client if it's okay to put our link to our website at the bottom of their website. It's something that is pretty standard across the board, so people don't generally have an issue with that. And I like what Yardley said. One thing that makes them happy is to say, hey, and by the way, now you don't have to remember the website to go log in, because you can just click on the link on your own website and go right to the login. So thank you guys so much. For all other questions, we are going to put these in the Facebook group, and this way everybody can chime in and help each other. Guys, make it a great week. Make sure you get a lot of prospecting done. Always keep your funnel full, like Yardley said. And if you have any questions, stay in touch. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice night.